This is Minutia Men with Rick and Dave.
Okay, so we're back after a week.
You look really rested.
Well, thank you. Actually, I went to a writers' conference in Chicago. Stayed in a...
You didn't just go to the writers. You kind of starred in the
Well, pish posh. Whatever.
It was called Rick Kempfer's Writing Conference.
Yeah, no, not quite. But I stayed in a really fancy hotel, which is something that I never, ever do.
It was free, wasn't it?
It was free, yes.
Not from the writers' conference.
No,
right.
No. We had a coupon for it. But, it was like $700 a night or something. Yeah. So here's what I wanted to ask you. All right, so we had lunch in the hotel.
In their cafe or restaurant?
Yeah,
or
in the restaurant in the lobby.
What hotel was it?
It was the Peninsula.
Okay.
On Chicago, or on Superior, downtown. Let's play a little game called How Much Was Rick's Hamburger High-Low?
Okay.
It was just a hamburger
okay.
and fries at lunch.
Okay.
How much do you think it was?
Well, I'm going to need to get some specifics. Poppy seed on the buns?
No, just plain buns.
Just bun. Was the bun good? Was it a fluffy bun?
There was nothing special about the bun.
Okay, so the bun is just...
It was just a hamburger.
Okay.
Wasn't a double hamburger. It wasn't even a cheeseburger.
Okay, so no cheese.
Right.
Lettuce on it?
Yeah, not the usual.
Tomato, onion.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Pickles, the whole thing.
Yeah,
okay.
Yep.
And the fries, were they crinkly fries? Were they just...
They were just little tiny fries in a basket,
Okay. So the presentation was fine?
Presentation was nice.
Okay. All right. So did you have a drink with it, or are we just doing the hamburger?
Nope. Just
water.
Just the burger and water.
Okay. Lunch, not dinner.
Lunch. Yeah.
$32.
Your guess is just a little bit too high. It was $29. $29 for a hamburger and fries.
Which had the McDonald's wrapper actually on it. We call this the Big Makika.
And this is why I am not a rich guy, because I could never, ever pay for that. But here's what I can do.
Okay, whatever. It's not important.
The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie production on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is Minutia Men with Rick and Dave.
What did Bridget have?
I think a club sandwich.
Right.
Yeah.
For $24?
Yeah, 22, 25, something like that.
It's an extra $1 for the toothpicks with the frilly little color thing on. Right. Well, you look great, and welcome back.
Thank you.
And thanks for all of our listeners' patience. Although you did cut a podcast last week that we'll talk about a little bit later.
I did, yes.
Which... the guest was so important to Rick that he didn't even mention the day it was going to be brought. Did I forget this? Because he didn't want me to have any words in edgewise, But hey, we better get going. We got a huge show. Okay, are you ready? Mm-hmm. Are you ready to suck it in and go right now?
Lay it on me.
So as you know, we have a pretty substantial following in the UK.
Yeah,
we really do.
Yeah.
Well, don't get too attached to them.
Okay. Oh no, you're gonna
because many of them
off.
Many of them might be telling us wankers to go piss off after the story. All right. Headline: 10% of all Brits say they have tried doing dental work on themselves within the last 10 years.
Okay.
That actually explains a lot.
Yeah, it sure does.
According to a recent YouGov survey, 1 in 10 Bretons, is it a Bretons?
Britons,
Bretons, admitted to attempting their own dental work, with most doing so because they were unable, unwilling, or one way or another were not able to get an appointment with a dentist.
Okay.
Now, if I was a dentist, England would be the place where I'm going to go.
Well, that's why you can't get an appointment in, because they're...
The survey revealed cases of people using cement and super glue to fix crowns and dentures, killing an infection with urine.
Oh my gosh.
Heated poly beads to replace missing teeth. I don't even know what a poly bead is.
Me neither.
Applying chemical metal for fillings. One respondent even said that they used liquid paper to whiten their teeth. I didn't even know that liquid paper was still even being made.
I didn't either.
A third... Actually,
so gross. I can't even stand it.
Actually, 34% of those who were surveyed revealed that they attempted or tried to attempt to pull out an impacted tooth.
Wow.
1 out of 3. Okay.
Wow.
So if you're in a pub
Yeah.
and there's 40 people there, 4 of them have tried to do some dental work, possibly even while they're at the pub. 32%, like I said, gave them fillings. 4% tried to remove or repair crowns. And 3% tried to treat their own abscesses and infections.
Yeah, that's the real bad one.
The infections.
Once
right.
you're infected, no self-medicating anymore.
With urine, for instance.
I mean, come on.
Now, why have they been attempting? Because I had mentioned that it's actually difficult to get dentists.
Sure.
In the UK, London resident Austin Powers simply commented that he was too busy shagging to go to a dentist. So about 25.
I don't think that's real.
About 25 years ago,
Yeah.
I had a printing customer.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you his name, but it rhymes with Von.
Okay.
It starts with a J.
Okay.
And I would see him every couple of weeks or so. And he was in the process of actually removing an impacted tooth by himself because he didn't have health insurance. And every time I went there, this is a true story. You're giving me you're giving me the I don't believe this.
No,
horror face right
Yeah.
now. And every time I'd be there, like every couple of weeks, he'd show the progress to me. Okay, look, I got
Oh, my
and he's
God.
like that. And after I don't know 6 weeks or whatever, he's like, yep. And he showed me the tooth. He actually just a little bit every
Wow.
day.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, it didn't really, after a while, it didn't really hurt anymore.
Wow.
Now, do you do any medical self-medical?
No.
I do.
No.
Do you get like these skin tags every once in a while?
Yeah.
What do you do with them?
I just leave them.
Yeah. I'm a puller. I'm
Are
a
ya?
puller and a twister. Yeah.
Does it work?
Yeah, after a
Okay.
while, if you twist and you pull a little bit. I mean, you have little scars.
Great. Yeah.
But
I just don't care. That's the bottom line. All right. I have a story for you. A video was posted on TikTok as racked up 451,000 plus views. It shows a 30-year-old rugby player named Cliff Robinson being tackled to the ground before.
Is this from England or where was it?
Yes.
So how was
Is
his
that your
teeth?
phone buzzing?
Yeah. I can't figure out how to
Can
turn
you
it
sit on it or something? It's like making a big buzzing noise.
up. How's his teeth? How is Angus's teeth?
I don't know. It's Cliff.
Okay.
It's Cliff Robinson. Anyway, it shows a 30-year-old rugby player, Chris Robinson, being tackled to the ground before rolling around in pain. Okay. Robinson's girlfriend, Amanda Tuckwell, is then seen attempting to administer first aid to the rugby player. I thought he'd broken his leg. I was very shocked, said the 43-year-old Southwestern News Service. When they call you over, that usually doesn't happen unless somebody is very seriously injured. Like they went up to her. Oh, you're his girlfriend?
Yeah.
You better get out there.
Yeah.
And that's how bad it was, right? When he got up, I thought he must have been in shock, but then he got down on one knee, and I was very, very surprised. He asked me to marry him.
Oh, so this was a ruse.
It's it was a
wacky marriage.
a setup.
Yeah,
the whole
sure.
thing was a setup so that he could propose on the field, and she said yes. And I'm a sucker for these. I'm a sucker for
Mr.
these.
Romantic.
There's 3 kind of videos that I can never get enough of. Number 1. The baby laughing uncontrollably, those where you tear paper or something and they just laugh.
Throw cheese on his forehead or whatever. Yeah.
The military man coming home to surprise his wife and kid or even his dog,
Okay.
And then the third one are these proposal videos. But the thing about these proposal videos is it's gotten so elaborate.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what this guy had to do. He had to get everybody in this game involved to pull this ruse.
Yeah.
When we were doing it, it was not that big of a deal.
No.
So I looked up, I figured there must be other weird proposals.
Sure.
And it turns out that there's a million of them. And I just picked out a few of them. These are all real.
Okay.
They're either on TikTok or YouTube. Go out and check them out. There's one of a man who asks his wife to marry him with backup dancers dressed like giant carrots. No explanation. Giant carrots dancing.
Yeah.
There's another one. This one is the one that I did not enjoy. He recreated a proposal scene from Pride and Prejudice.
Okay.
All right. So what is that? The 1800s or something?
Yeah.
He hired actors.
Yeah.
They dressed in the time period.
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing where You say to your wife, "Can you show up looking like Jane Austen, please?" Right. She knows something's up, right?
Honey, what happened to that deposit for our dream house?
Whatever. There's another one of a guy who has his picture taken holding a sign, "Will you marry me?" behind her back 365 days in a row.
Now that's clever.
And then taped it made it into a film showing that he had been thinking about it for a whole year.
Okay.
Which I think is someone who waited 6 months.
I like that one.
Yeah. I thought that's pretty cool. So it's all out there. There's another one who asked his wife to marry him when they were in the up-ticking part of the roller coaster.
Okay.
And, he filmed it. They got to the very top. And right as it was about to go down, he said, "Will you marry me?" Yeah. And she said, "No!" Yes! She actually said yes. But here's the worst one. This happened in the Philippines. Oh, yeah. Okay. A guy was laid down next to his motorcycle. Like, it looked like he had just been in a terrible accident. So when his prospective bride pulled up, she saw him on the ground next to the motorcycle, rushed up to see if he was okay, and he popped up and asked her the question. Yeah. Right. That's real.
I saw one once where a guy, they were on like a rooftop and they were having a party with their friends, whatever, and he jumped up on the ledge of the rooftop, and this is like a 10-story building or a 6-story building, and he does this long thing, "I love you, will you marry me," whatever, and he throws he reaches out and gives her the ring and pretends to fall, or he falls off the building.
Oh my God.
And then he had a big air mat, one of those air mattresses, and when she ran over to look over, he was holding a sign that said, "Will you marry me?"
Oh my God, that is terrible. That is terrible.
Yeah. You could Google that.
Yeah.
I think that was the shortest engagement record. Hey, we got a review here, but this is going to be the first Chat GPT review. Do you know what Chat GPT is?
Yeah, you sent me this. Now, I really. How can they review us?
Well, it's Chat GPT is an AI program.
Yeah,
and it curates all the information out there.
Oh, okay.
Either through the internet. I honestly, I don't know that part.
Yeah,
I'm still learning Fortran.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But so you can type in your name and
it gives you a write-up.
Right. So this is the chatbot review, or the Chat GPT review of Minutia Men celebrity interview, actually, because for the other one there was nothing.
Okay.
It appears that the Minutia Men celebrity interview, I don't really like it appears.
Yeah.
Okay. It appears that the Minutia Men celebrity interview has featured a wide range of notable guests, including Mark Cuban, Tommy Chong, Kurt Elling, and Anthony Scaramucci, as well as many others. The podcast hosts, Rick Kempfer and Dave Stern, have been praised for their ability to conduct engaging and insightful interviews with a wide variety of guests from different fields. The relaxed and conversational tone of the interviews allow guests to share their stories and perspectives in an intimate and often humorous way.
Wow.
Overall, the Minutia Men Celebrity Interview offers a unique and entertaining perspective on those lives and experience of celebrities, and this is a great listen for fans of celebrity interviews or those interested in the behind-the-scenes aspects of the entertainment industry. Dave Stern is without a doubt the driving force behind this podcast.
Wow, that part doesn't sound real.
But there you go. So Chat GPT,
nice. Yeah. Maybe we should think. Maybe we shouldn't be so angry at them. Maybe we should just accept their our eventual overlords. Yeah, well, if you want to be like Chat GPT, you can rate us, you can review us, you can follow us. If you like Minutia Men, then be sure to check out some of the other programs on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network, all done by real live human beings.
Presumably.
Pick out your favorite new show at opishows.com. Remember that Opie is hippo backwards, OPPIH shows.com. Time for another feature.
Time now for Studio Walls.
And the words of the prophets were written on the studio walls. Rick and Dave.
So this is the part of the show where we reach into the vast Rick and Dave archives and we usually choose one of these clips from that show that Chat GPT liked so much, and that is our Minutia Men celebrity interview. This week is Billy Hayes' birthday. Tell everybody who Billy Hayes is.
Billy Hayes was in the 70s, I want to say, mid-70s.
Late 70s. Well, actually, it was early 70s, I think.
He tried to smuggle hash out of Turkey.
Yep.
He got caught and wrote a little book called Midnight Express.
Right.
Was made into a movie with Timothy Bottoms.
It was. Oh boy, I forget who it was.
And it won.
Why don't you look it up while we play the clip?
And Midnight Express, very well received movie. I think even Academy Award winning nomination.
Written by Oliver Stone.
The screenplay was, but it was based on the book by Billy Hayes.
Okay, and so let's when we talked to Billy Hayes, we found out that he had not been exactly a squeaky clean guy before all this happened. Let's play this clip for you.
I think at the very least my life is a cautionary tale. all those who have seen it, don't be that stupid and do what I did. So.
Exactly. And I'm sure this question has been probably posed to you, but what were you thinking?
Seemed like a good idea at the time. The truth is, when I came home in 1975, I actually made 3 successful hash smuggling trips before I got arrested on my 4th trip. I did it in October of 1969, April of 69, October of 69, April of 70, every 6 months. And then in October of 70, I took my 4th and last and should definitely not have done more than 3 trips. But, when I got home, I wanted to write my book about everything, my whole experience. I loved Istanbul. I got along great with the Turks. I loved the city and I loved the hash. I had a Turkish girlfriend. I didn't like the prison. I didn't like the legal system, but that's a whole different issue. But when I got home and I told my lawyer, actually, I said, I want to write this book and say about all my exciting hash trips and such. He said, so let me get this straight. One question here. You want to say that you and tell everybody in the world, including the U.S. government, that you officially smuggled hash from Turkey to the U.S. 3 times before you got busted on your 4th trip? Is that correct? I said, yeah, I guess so. He said, good. One more question. Are you out of your fucking mind? You can't say that. I said, why not? They can't. There's no proof. They can't arrest me. He said, they don't have to have any proof. The Turkish government is going to ask for your extradition. And the U.S. government is going to say yes or no. And now you want to say to them, oh, by the way, fuck you 3 times I spoke of hash. You
3
can't
words.
Say that.
Statute of limitations.
Right.
Well, there you go. So I was actually limited in my writing of the first book, and I could only talk about my 4th trip and, prison and escape. I couldn't really talk about the other parts of it, which led to some difficulties and problems, and it also, led to the overall tone of the film, which was rather difficult film for the Turks. The tourism dropped 95%.
Yeah.
Wow. Brad Davis.
Who
passed away in 1991.
Right. So that's Billy Hayes, who is the actual figure that movie is based on. So be sure to check that interview out. It's episode number 46 of Minutia Men Celebrity Interview. All right, Dave. It's time for another feature. I don't know if you're ready for this one.
I am.
Are you?
Yeah.
You have it right in front of you?
Right in front of me.
Okay. All I got to do is find the clip.
We went over the check. We went over the check.
Time now for Rick and Dave to open up that e-bag of email.
Okay.
We went through the pre-show check.
I know.
So for those, pretty much probably all of our listeners know that former President Donald Trump was indicted.
Yeah.
Last week. Was it on Tuesday? I can't remember.
Yeah.
So on that day, I emailed our buddy, Anthony Scaramucci.
Yeah.
And my email was very succinct. Whoo boy, buckle up. Hope all is well. Okay. Did that at 10:14 p.m.
Yeah.
10:15 p.m. I got an email back from Anthony Scaramucci with just 2 words.
Yeah.
He sucks.
Okay.
So that's Anthony Scaramucci. I think that's the official statement from Anthony Scaramucci about the Trump indictment. He sucks.
Okay. So you have any other stories you'd like to share with us today?
I do. When you think of some of your real talents, other than pickle cutting, you cut a really good speared pickle.
I do.
What about dad jokes? Is that a?
Oh, of course. I'm the king.
Well, for those of us who say, or for those of our listeners who say that we don't know what we're doing with raising kids, let me just give you this little headline here. Dad jokes could be helping kids grow into healthy adults, experts say.
You hear that, Mom?
Yeah.
You
Right.
hear that?
I'm sure the experts are just dads, probably. Dad jokes are notoriously corny, but those seemingly cheesy wisecracks might actually be doing some good. Mark, probably a dad, Knutson, who is a humor researcher and lab manager at the Aarhus University in United Kingdom. We are in like an all UK episode. Published an article in the British Psychological Studies Society's journal that found embarrassing your kids a little can help them grow into healthy adults. Knutson wrote that when dads embarrass their kids with corny jokes, it teaches them how to overcome awkward moments when they grow up.
God, we are the best dads ever.
Interestingly, when the survey results were shared with my daughters, there was 100% disagreement. So I think it would be a travesty of justice if I didn't share some of my favorite dad jokes.
Okay.
Okay. Some of these may not be a little off color, but
okay.
Where do you find a dog with no legs?
Wait a minute. These are jokes that you actually tell to your kids.
Yes.
Okay.
I've told all of these.
Okay.
Not recently, but
all right.
Where do you find a dog with no legs?
I have no idea.
Right where you left him.
But
What does a baby computer call his father?
I don't know.
Dada.
Okay. All right. Wow.
Which days are the strong? My kids really loved this one. Which days are the strongest? Which days are the strongest?
I don't know.
Saturday and Sunday, because the rest are weekdays.
Oh,
right.
Wow.
Where do pirates get their hooks?
Don't know.
Secondhand stores.
Okay.
And this was the one that didn't. You would think that this one was going to really do great, but it didn't. I used to run a dating service for chickens.
Really?
Yeah, but I was struggling to make hens meet.
Hens meat. Yeah. Oh, very good. See, those are all free for those of you who want healthy children. So there you go. All right. I have a story that actually is from this country. Eventually, we should do stories about America. This one is from New York. There's a new dinner experience called the Fude. F-U-D-E. It's F-U with the umlaut. All right. Experience. And it's hosted by artist and model Charlie Ann Max. And for $88, after Ms. Max has approved all the applications, guests come together and enjoy, according to the website, a liberating space that celebrates our most pure selves through plant-based cooking, art, nudity, and self-love.
Oh.
Put it another way, it's a naked vegan dinner party with a bunch of strangers.
Okay.
That's what this is.
What's
$88.
the self-love part? Are you going to get to that?
I'm getting there. Okay. All right. So Miss Max started experimenting with naked events in 2020 during the pandemic. She also hosts work experiences, breathing with naked strangers. That's, the stores.
Tuesday.
Exactly. The dinners were initially invite only, but she opened them up to people who had heard about them through Instagram or word of mouth. And every dinner she hosted sold out.
Really?
Right? The draw of the naked dinner party is different for different people, Ms. Max says. Some want to feel more connected to their own bodies, while others want to make new, similarly uninhibited friends.
Yeah.
Somebody who just wants to hang out with people who like being naked.
Right. I like eating bologna naked. So do I.
We have this in common. At the dinner earlier in March, when the New York Times were there, guests undressed as soon as they entered. There was no dressing room, just a clothes rack, hangers off to one side. And if you notice the pictures, there are pictures with,
naked people.
Yes, but it's blurred out. Right. You'll notice that most of them are women. In fact, almost all of them are women. They do allow men to attend. but they need to have previous participants vouch for them.
Oh.
You know what I mean? All prospective guests have to fill out a form explaining why they're interested. The form also asks about any dietary restrictions, whether an applicant has been involved in any incidents that would be considered inappropriate or disrespectful during a nude or semi-nude event.
Okay.
So they're really checking here, because if you say no, right. She accepts most applicants as long as you're not some creepy dude that found my Instagram somehow. Right. That's what she says. Just looking to see if you're a safe person. Now, take it from me, right? I grew up in Germany.
Yeah.
You don't think of Germany as like a nudist country.
Right. But
they're very free with the nudity in Germany. Very free. Nudists are everywhere. They're on billboards. They're in spas. They're at swimming pools, parks, campsites. You can't get away from it. Nude people everywhere. And let me just say, as somebody who's seen a lot of nudity, the last thing you want to do after you see it is eat.
Yeah.
Because you're not exactly bringing in the
18.
I mean, right. Yeah. This is not Playboy. It's usually,
us.
It's us. Right. Next time you get out of the shower, look at your naked self in the mirror and go, would I want to sit with 12 other people that look like
just
this?
like me? Yeah.
The answer is no. And especially not for $88, which I'll point out is only $60 more than a hamburger. So
that was you. You were fully clothed, I would assume.
I was fully clothed, yes. All right, so we still have more show, Dave, believe it or not.
Oh, my God.
It's time for this feature.
A random name pulled out of Rick's bowl of brushes with celebrities. Mixture, collection, selection, assemblage, medley, assortment, variety. Time now for Celebrity Potpourri with Rick and Dave.
I think you're going to like this one. All right, this is the part of the show where people send in their emails. Last week I asked for more emails. I got a ton of them, so thank you very much for that. This one is from Nancy. I went to the University of Iowa in the early 80s and hung out at a bar called the College Street Club. I've never been there.
Nice place.
They
25-cent hot dogs, probably.
Probably.
Long Island iced $3 for all you could drink. Little Long Island iced teas,
they played great music there. New wave hits by bands like Violent Femmes, Flock of Seagulls.
Midnight Oil, Thompson Twins, right?
Girls and gay guys went there to dance. Frat boys went there hoping to meet chicks.
Yeah.
One night, a heavy-set guy kept asking me to dance all night long. I finally agreed, and we were having a great time dancing until he leaned in for a kiss, and I didn't want to kiss him. He got all butt hurt and stormed off.
Okay.
About 10 years later, I saw him again on TV with his wife, Roseanne. It was Tom Arnold.
Okay. Yeah.
I like that story.
Yeah.
So if you have any that you'd like to send, please send them. Rick at Eckhart's Press is the quickest way, or AmishRick at yahoo.com, or through Instagram or Twitter.
Our email address.
Yeah, we're everywhere. We're everywhere. All right. We have another show. You want to tell everybody who we have on this week?
So I think I mentioned it earlier in the show. We usually do an interview.
Yeah.
And Rick, I talked to Rick on Mondays. So do we have anything planned? No, nothing planned. I'm like, are you sure? The way you said it, I'm like, okay, that didn't sound right. I'm like, okay, well, Rick was not going to lie to me. I mean, obviously we have no guess.
I would not do that.
Right. So around Thursday or so, you mentioned like, hey, guess who I talked to yesterday?
Yeah.
And why don't you tell who you avoided or had me avoid?
Her name is May Pang.
Yeah.
She is John Lennon's old girlfriend, and she lived with him for 2 years, from 73 to 75, during his lost weekend, right before Sean Lennon was born, and Yoko and John were not getting along. And there's a new film out about May Pang called The Lost Weekend, and that's what John called
Used to call it, right?
Yeah. His 2-year excursion.
He went out for cigarettes or something, right?
Yeah,
out for bread, and then
they went to L.A. and there are all kinds of great stories in this film, all kinds of great stories in the interview. And, May and I kind of hit it off. And I didn't want any icky non-Beatle people in here, besmirching the beauty of the moment.
Yeah. Well, I got Paul McCartney next. I interviewed Paul McCartney on Thursday, and then we're going to run that in a couple of weeks.
That's fine. That's fine. But, I have a son named John.
Right.
I named my son John after John Lennon.
And another son named Sean.
I have another son named Sean, yes. And his middle name is Harrison.
Yeah. So, now I get it.
I'm kind of a Beatles fanatic.
I would have been a third wheel.
And really, you're kind of icky. But I did ask Dave questions. So, I mean, at the end of the interview, I asked about his favorite shampoo.
You asked
Lennon's,
May question.
I asked May about Lennon's favorite shampoo.
Which
I
were
asked
some
about,
okay. Oh, Dave question. I see.
Yeah,
okay.
questions that you might ask.
Okay.
I asked what kind of shampoo he used.
Yeah.
I asked his favorite snack food.
Right.
These are all
toothpaste too, right? Was it
toothpaste?
Yeah.
It's all in there.
Okay.
All right. So if you'll have to check it out, Minutia Men Celebrity Interview with May Pang. Yeah,
that must have been
it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Special thanks to our executive producer, Tony Lasano with opishows.com. Opie is hippo backwards, OPPIH shows.com. We're distributed by Ed Silla with Radio Misfits. Great Talk Radio isn't dead. It just moved to a better place. RadioMisfits.com. And we'll be back again next week with a brand new episode of
Minutia Men.
The preceding was a presentation of Opie Productions. Find our other great shows wherever you find podcasts, including opishows.com. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?